1 minute ago, the headline was simple. Macron collapses in Paris and Starmer gets the warning. Europe erupts in chaos. But the fault line runs straight through London's legal system as Britain's biggest China spy trial falls apart and MI5 admits a 35% spike in hostile threats, while the Prime Minister scrambles to prove the state can still be trusted. Starmer shakes hands with Trump, freezes Israel out of London, and recognises Palestine, yet his own popularity crashes to a record low as Reform UK storms ahead in the polls. Is Britain's centrist project collapsing in real time, or is this the beginning of a much bigger global breakdown? Here's how the centre snapped up close. Courtroom, Old Bailey, September 2025. The lead prosecutor stands, face tight, and says the words no one expected. "My lord, the Crown offers no evidence on these charges." That's it. The biggest China spy case in British history, dead before it even starts. Judge Weatherby doesn't hesitate. In that case, the prosecution is dismissed. Not guilty verdicts entered on both counts. The two defendants, one a parliamentary researcher, the other a teacher, walk free. No jury, no cross-examination, no official declaration that China was even an enemy at the time. The Crown Prosecution Service admits in open court they never got the government to say under oath that China was a national security threat. Key witness statements danced around the word enemy, sticking to phrases like strategic challenge and active espionage risk. That wasn't enough. The case doesn't end with a bang, just a legal formula and a stunned silence. The system blinks, and the world notices. Ken McCallum walks on stage with the numbers. MI5 investigations up by 35%. 19 terror plots stopped since 2020. He calls out China, Russia, Iran. No hesitation, just raw threat math. But in the courtroom, those numbers mean nothing. The law demands a label, enemy, and no one in government will say it on record. Intelligence says the danger is rising, but the justice system won't cross the diplomatic red line. The gap is wide. MI5 tracking hostile states at historic levels, yet the legal machinery stalls over a single word. The public gets the warning, not the conviction. In the space between threat and proof, the system starts to wobble, and everyone is left asking, if this is what the numbers say, why can't the state say it in court? Chequers, late February. Cameras flash as Keir Starmer and Donald Trump shake hands, both grinning for the press. The official transcript drips with mutual praise. Trump calls it a tremendous honour to be back in Britain. Starmer answers, "This visit reaffirms a partnership grounded in shared values and, if I may, an economic prosperity agenda we are building together." The language is almost too warm, considering the headlines at home. Both leaders nod through questions about security in China. Starmer insists, "Our intelligence collaboration has never been stronger." Trump, never one for subtlety, throws in, "I like the Prime Minister, a strong guy. We may not agree on every single thing, but we fight for our countries, and that's what matters." Behind the flags and the smiles, a new economic prosperity deal is teased. Trade, tech, investment, the works. It's the kind of Washington photo op that would make any leader look steady. But back in Britain, the centre isn't holding. Starmer's warmth with Trump lands like a paradox. The accidental populist, arm in arm with the world's most famous one. The deal promises jobs and investment, but the handshake can't paper over the chaos unravelling at home. London just slammed the door on Israeli officials, blocking them from the DSEI 2025 Defence Expo. That's not a technical glitch. It's a diplomatic freeze. The Foreign Office confirms arms exports that could end up in Gaza are suspended, trade talks are on ice, and far-right Israeli ministers are now under UK sanctions. In September, the government recognised the State of Palestine, an official act, not just a headline. Jerusalem calls the moves shameful, but the message is clear. London is staking out the rule of law, humanitarian ground, even if it burns bridges. While the fallout plays out in headlines, the Foreign Office moves fast. The UK and France are drafting a UN stabilisation force proposal for post-war Gaza. Britain pledges £20 million in new aid. Money on the table, not just promises. The government says it wants to lead on peace, but every step strains old alliances. Each decision lands with a cost, at home and abroad. 13%, that's the number. Ipsos polling puts Starmer's satisfaction rating at a record low. Barely 1 in 8 Brits say they're happy with the government. Reform UK is now leading the national vote intention by double digits. YouGov has Starmer's net favourability stuck at -44, sometimes worse. Trust in politics, still scraping the bottom, according to independent watchdogs. The public doesn't buy what's on offer. 2/3 say Britain is on the wrong track, and the anger isn't subtle, it's everywhere. This isn't just a bad week, it's the kind of rejection that makes governments sweat and opposition smell blood. The government scrambles for credibility, announcing a new ethics overhaul and launching an NHS anti-Semitism review. These fixes land with a thud. Too late for trust, too small for the scale of the problem. Markets hesitate, wary of drift and ambiguity, and at the centre of the storm, the palace stays silent. King Charles, bound by neutrality, offers no intervention, just the weight of tradition in a country that's running out of certainties. Only 13% of voters now say they are satisfied with the government, an all-time low according to Ipsos. In the past year, Britain saw the collapse of its most high-profile China spy prosecution, a public split between MI5 and ministers, and a historic shift on Middle East policy, including the exclusion of Israeli officials from a major defence expo and official recognition of Palestine. While Starmer's government secured warm optics with President Trump and outlined an economic prosperity deal, domestic trust has cratered, and Reform UK now leads Labour in national polls. Despite official promises to publish key evidence from the China case, it remains unclear why the state could not declare China a security threat under oath. The monarchy stands silent, bound by constitutional neutrality. Britain's central dilemma is now exposed. Security clarity, diplomatic honesty, and domestic delivery are urgent, yet the next crisis may arrive before the answers do. The question for the centre is no longer if it will be tested, but whether it will survive the test.